Chapter 3. Kira heard her name from down the hallway before she heard the door. She had been in the bathroom washing her hands, taking a slow moment to herself in the quiet of the early evening, the kind of quiet she had learned to hold onto carefully, because it never lasted long in a building full of women, who were always either celebrating something or recovering from something. She dried her hands on the towel hanging from the rack, and stepped out into the hallway just as Emma came bursting through the front door, her bag sliding from her shoulder, her cheeks flushed, her grey eyes brilliant with something that hadn't been there when she'd left this morning. "I'm right here," Kira said, studying her friend's face with the careful attention she gave to everything. "What is going on? Are you all right?" Emma stopped in the middle of the living room, pressed both hands to her chest, and made herself take one full breath before she spoke. She had clearly been running, or something close to it. Her hair was slightly undone at the ends, and she had the breathless, electric quality of someone who had sprinted the last block home, because walking had felt physically impossible. "I got a big part," she said. The words came out simply, directly, as if she still couldn't fully believe them, and saying them plainly was the only way she could be certain they were real. "A big part, Kira. Today." Kira felt the warmth move through her chest, clean and genuine, without complication, at least for now. She smiled. "Emma, that's incredible. Tell me everything." She gestured toward the couch and sat down on the edge of it, leaning forward with her elbows on her knees, giving Emma her full attention the way she always did when it mattered. Emma sat across from her, perching on the arm of the chair in the corner rather than settling into it, too animated to sit properly. She pushed her hair back from her face. "So Superstar never called me back after I went to record the tape," she began, and the flicker of old frustration that crossed her face was brief, but real, the reminder that even this good story had a stretch of waiting woven through it. "Not a single word. I waited 2 weeks and nothing." Kira nodded. She remembered. She remembered Emma checking her phone obsessively for 3 days, then pretending she wasn't checking it, then checking it again. "So this morning I decided I wasn't going to wait anymore." Emma's chin lifted slightly. "I went down to the Brassica agency building. Mr. Jonas's building." Kira's eyebrows rose. "You went to Brassica?" She paused, recalibrating. "Mr. Jonas. Emma, he is the biggest producer working in this city right now." "I know," Emma said, and there was something in the evenness of her tone that suggested she had known exactly what she was walking into, and had gone anyway, which was the most Emma thing possible. "I wasn't going to get an appointment. I knew that. So I waited outside the building." Kira stared at her. "You waited outside the building?" "I waited outside the building," Emma confirmed. "And when his car pulled up and he stepped out, I stopped him." The living room went very quiet. Outside, the usual noise of the side street continued, a car passing, someone's music drifting from a window 2 floors up, but inside, Kira felt the particular stillness that descended when a story arrived at its most important moment. "You stopped Ledger Jonas," she said slowly, "on the street, in front of his own building." "I did." Emma exhaled. "There were other people there too. I counted at least 4 others waiting outside, the same as me, for the same reason. All of us who couldn't get past the front desk, couldn't get an appointment, couldn't get a call back." She straightened slightly. "So when he stepped out of that car, I walked right up to him and I asked him, how can you call yourself a producer if you never see any new actors or actresses?" Kira's jaw came unhinged. She sat back against the couch cushion and simply stared, which was not an expression her face wore often. She was not easily astonished. She had lived a life that had burned through most of her capacity for shock. But this had done it. "Emma," she breathed. "I know," Emma said, a flash of the same disbelief visible in her own expression, as if part of her was still catching up to what the rest of her had done. "I told him all of us standing there are looking for a chance to prove that we are just as good. We just haven't had a chance to shine yet." She stopped to take a breath. He looked at me. Then he looked at the others. Then he looked back at me. Then what happened? Emma's eyes shifted slightly, taking on the unfocused quality they got when she was reliving something rather than simply telling it. The morning had been overcast, the kind of grey sky that felt indifferent rather than threatening, a sky that didn't particularly care what happened beneath it. Emma had arrived at the Brassica Agency building at 8:15, early enough to be there when he arrived, if the reports about his schedule were accurate, which she had verified by asking, very casually, at the coffee cart across the street, where his assistant apparently bought his morning coffee every day. She had stood to the side of the entrance, her portfolio under her arm, her good heels on despite the fact that she'd been standing on concrete for 40 minutes. The other people were scattered around the entrance in the particular way of people who are trying not to look like they are waiting, leaning against the wall, scrolling phones, glancing up every time a car slowed on the street. When the black car pulled up, something in the cluster of waiting people shifted, a collective tightening, a shared intake of breath. Ledger Jonas stepped out of the back door. He was taller than she had imagined from photographs, broader through the shoulders, with the particular unhurried quality of a man whose time was too valuable for rushing. Emma didn't think. She walked. "Mr. Jonas." Her voice came out level and clear, and he stopped because a voice that was certain was hard to walk past. He turned and looked at her. "How are you a producer if you never see any new actors or actresses?" The people near the entrance went very still. His assistant, who had been half a step behind him, froze with his tablet raised. Mr. Jonas looked at her for a long moment. His expression was unreadable, not angry, not amused, something more complex than either. He looked, she thought, like a man who had not been spoken to directly in some time. "I told him," Emma continued, gesturing toward the others who had gathered closer now, drawn by the directness of the exchange, "that all of us are here looking for a chance to prove ourselves. We just haven't had anyone give us the opportunity. And his people, the ones who are supposed to handle new recruits, are never available. Always in meetings. Always at lunch. At 10:30 in the morning." Something shifted in his expression then. Something tightened. He looked toward the front of the building. He called her name, Angie, and a woman from the reception desk appeared in the lobby doorway, stepping out onto the entrance steps with the careful posture of someone who already knew she was in trouble and was trying to minimize the damage by meeting it head-on. "Have you seen these people before?" Mr. Jonas asked her. His voice was quiet, which made it more severe, not less. Angie looked at each of the waiting faces in turn. Emma watched her look at them, really, not the dismissive scan of a gatekeeper, but the recognition of someone who knew exactly who these people were because she had sent them away herself, repeatedly. Angie lowered her head. "Yes, sir," she said. "They've all been here multiple times." The silence that followed had a specific quality, the quality of a very small room getting very much smaller. "Why have they never been seen by the team who handles new recruits?" The question was not quiet. It rolled out of him and off the face of the building, and the handful of people on the sidewalk nearby either sped up or slowed down to listen. Angie kept her eyes down. "I was told not to send any new recruits in by Mr. Coulson," she said. Mr. Jonas stared at her. "Look me in the eye and say that again." She did. It took her a moment to find the courage, but she raised her eyes to him and repeated it, word for word, without flinching. Whatever else Angie was, she wasn't a liar, and Emma found herself respecting the woman even in this moment. Mr. Jonas turned to his assistant. "Cancel all my meetings until noon." He paused, and then added in a tone that was carefully measured, "And you know how to handle the other situation." "Yes, sir," the assistant said, and his fingers were already moving across the tablet screen. Mr. Jonas turned back to the small crowd gathered near his entrance. For a moment he just looked at the portfolios and the good shoes and the careful hair, and the expressions of people who had been preparing for this possibility, without actually believing it would arrive. "All right," he said. "Let's get started. Your time will be short and I apologize for that, I'm a busy man. But you will each be seen today." Emma let out a breath she had been holding for what felt like considerably longer than that morning. "That's completely all right, sir," she said. "We'll do our best with whatever time you give us." He looked at her then, not the quick appraising look of someone cataloguing a face, but something more considered. Something that lingered for half a second longer than she expected. "I'm sure you will," he said. "And then after the auditions, I thought that was it," Emma said, surfacing from the memory. "I thought it was one of those things where you finally get your 5 minutes, and then nothing happens. I came home and tried not to get my hopes up." She paused. "But then about 2 hours later, I got a call from the studio directly. Apparently Mr. Jonas called them himself. The actress who was supposed to play the third female lead in one of their current productions had been let go that morning. He recommended me for the role." Kira stared at her. "He called them himself." "He called them himself." Emma smiled, and it was the widest, most unguarded smile Kira had seen from her in months. "I went straight to the studio from there. There were only a few scenes today, they needed to get me oriented and film what they could before the day ended. So I came home." She spread her hands. "I am the third female lead, Kira." Kira stood up from the couch. There was no deliberation in it. She simply stood up and crossed the room and wrapped her arms around Emma, holding her properly, the way you held someone when words weren't the right size for what you wanted to say. "I am so happy for you," she said, and she was. She was fully, completely happy for her friend. That was true. She held onto it. Emma hugged her back hard. When they separated, Emma was bright-eyed and slightly pink, the particular glow of someone whose long season of waiting had just broken open. "Thank you," Emma said. "It is late and I need to be back at 8 in the morning. So I am going to go to sleep early for once in my life." She laughed softly. "Don't tell anyone I said that." She squeezed Kira's hand once and turned toward her bedroom, pulling her hair loose from its style as she went. Kira stood in the living room after the door clicked shut. The fairy lights above the window did their soft, steady thing. The city outside continued being the city, indifferent and enormous, and full of the noise of 1,000 other people pursuing 1,000 other dreams in the dark. She stood there for a long moment. And then, very quietly, in the privacy of her own face where no one was watching, something broke a little. Not Emma's happiness, she would never begrudge her that, not a single second of it. But the arithmetic of it was hard to sit with. 1 year. Emma had been doing this for 1 year. She had walked up to one of the most powerful men in the entertainment industry on a Tuesday morning and came home with a lead role. Kira had been doing this for 4 years. 4 years of background work. 4 years of rooms that smelled like industrial carpet and stale coffee. Of casting directors whose eyes moved over her without catching. Of going home and practicing her lines in the mirror by herself because it was the only audition she was guaranteed. 4 years of watching other women's stars begin to rise, while hers stayed low on the horizon. So steady and unchanged she had started to wonder if it was moving at all, or if she had simply mistaken a fixed point of light for something on its way toward her. She walked to her room slowly. She sat on the edge of her bed, and looked at her hands in her lap for a while. Then she looked at the ring on her finger, the one she never talked about, the one she wore as a reminder rather than a symbol of love. A cold band of metal that said you have already survived the worst thing that has happened to you. And you are still here. She pressed her thumb against the inside of it. When the tears came, she let them come quietly. She was good at quiet. She had learned it early. She cried for a few minutes and then she stopped, because she had also learned that She washed her face in the small bathroom down the hall, changed into her sleep clothes, and climbed into bed. She will get up tomorrow. She would try again. She would keep going because the alternative, going back, was not something she was capable of surviving. She turned out the light. End of chapter. Thanks for listening. Please remember to subscribe and like the channel.